Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Meltdown Abroad. As you know, for our summer format, we are answering your parenting meltdowns. Let's get into it.
All right, let's see what we have. We have a question from a parent. They say, my child is chewing on everything. They're chewing through silicone straws. We've even tried giving metal ones, which they reject, and then he chews other things instead. What can I do to help him?
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, this is ding, 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 sensory.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That, when I look at this, I immediately think that there are some sensory needs here that this child is showing.
They're actively seeking that oral support. Yeah. So my first question to a parent would be, how is it benefiting your child? So are they doing it to stay focused? Mm-hmm. Are they doing it to self-regulate? Are they doing it to stay alert? Are they doing it to manage anxiety? Like, why are they doing it?
Yeah, and if it were anxiety, it would be more likely to be situationally specific. So things like I might be doing that right before there's something that's tricky that I know I need to do, or during tricky homework time, or something that is causing some stress for me versus quite regularly engaging in that behavior. Then that would be more likely less anxiety and more sensory, right?
Yeah. And if it's anxiety, you can almost just say they're regulating themselves by doing this behavior. But because he's chewing so much, it tells me that he's a sensory seeker, which means that his body is craving this input. So his threshold, I've spoken about this before, but when we chew, we activate our proprioceptive system, and it can sometimes be other systems as well that get activated, and we chew to try and soothe and make our bodies feel regulated. Mm-hmm. It's almost like being really hungry. You're eating to get full. So that's what they're trying to do. They're eating to meet he's chewing to meet that threshold of, okay, now my body feels okay. Yeah. But until he gets to that point, until his body feels full, we're going to continue to see that behavior.
Yeah, and the reason why the metal straw doesn't work is because it doesn't provide the same type of stimulation as the squishy silicone straw. And so it actually doesn't meet the need. And what happens is, you are the sort of sensory expert here, so I would love to hear your feedback. But generally, when we try to just swap it out for something, that tends to, then there might be just other behaviors that show up, or it sounds like in this case, maybe he's starting to just chew on other things that are available. And so we want to look at what are the needs that it's serving. Mm-hmm. And if there's a reason why we can't be chewing on the sort of silicone, or if he's breaking through them all the time, then we might look at some alternatives to meet the same need that he's having.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we kind of brushed on this in a different dilemma, in a past dilemma, mm-hmm. where what I would be looking at as a therapist is the appropriate ways to switch the behavior. Like, how can I appropriately swap it out so that it's meeting the need? So if he's chewing through the silicones, I know that he wants that chomping, he wants that proprioception. Like, it feels good in his body when his jaw is clamping down. Mm-hmm. So then something similar that I would try to introduce is probably adding more force to his body. So having him participate in more heavy work, or pushing and pulling activities, jumping, just anything that can provide stimulation to his joints. And that's easy for kids because you can really be playful with this. Yeah. And I would probably try to build a schedule so that it's regularly happening throughout the day, so that we're meeting the need throughout the day in various ways, and so that he's not heavily reliant on this. So if we spread out how our body's able to hit that threshold, it means we're not just doing it one way.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is really helpful here, particularly for anyone who has a little less like sensory experience than you have, is that we can meet these needs in a bunch of different ways. So just because the thing that they're doing is chewing, that doesn't mean that we can only meet it with chewing.
Yeah.
And the fact that the chewing is going on and then we're breaking through those silicone things a lot, to me, that means that it's not enough. So he's seeking more than what's being provided, which is why we're breaking it, and we need some more of these other activities to sort of help get to that threshold and meet the need a little bit more effectively than what the silicone is doing. It doesn't mean that we take away the silicone. It just means we add some of these other things so that some of the chewing behavior meets the need when
Mm-hmm.
it's in combination with some of these other activities,
yeah.
right? And then you'll probably find that the intensity of that chewing goes down.
Exactly. So to save your jewelries.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't spend quite as much money on jewelry,
Exactly.
and everyone wins.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would be asking questions like, when is it happening? Just to kind of seek out whether it is a constant need, or do we need to prepare the body for something that amplifies this? So if we know that let's say for instance it's anxiety based and it's homework time or sitting down for kids and doing work just in general can feel very hard for them. Let's make sure that we're doing like a movement activity before we do this task, and then plan to do another movement activity directly after they finish. Or maybe we break the task up if it's a long one and we do a movement activity before, during, and after, or we have it, we try to modulate how we're providing the input for them. Because another thing is that they learn by us teaching. So if they're chomping, it's because they don't have an efficient way to regulate their bodies, and so we have to teach it. And if we're teaching a scheduled way or showing them that they can do this activity before this is done, they start to learn and eventually will be able to start seeking it for themselves or doing it by themselves. That's the ultimate goal, is to give them the tools so that they understand when they need it and how to use it when they need it as well.
And when you're doing that, because you do a lot of this work with families, when you're doing that, would you recommend that a parent then, let's say they think of two of these ideas of activities that they might do that would provide more sort of full body input, and they try them during times when this behavior happens quite a lot, but maybe they try the same one for a week to sort of see what happens, or for 3 days and see if it shifts the chewing behavior? Or would you recommend that they trial different types, and like, how would you recommend they set up a schedule like that to be able to evaluate, ooh, this kind of activity or action was much more supportive than this other one?
So that's a good question. I would actually have the schedule in place, but the activities that you're doing, you can swap it out or have them become a part of it. So we'll try
choose, right?
We'll try it for like a week. You'll tell fairly quickly whether it's something they like or not. So if they don't like this particular thing, maybe you're doing wall push-ups one day and they're like, I don't want to do it. Don't force it. Let's do a different activity. Yeah. Maybe instead we're going to do an obstacle course where we are doing cartwheels and then a tumble, and maybe they'll enjoy that because it feels more playful. Yeah. We can be monsters stomping around looking for, like, we'll change the activities and see what they gravitate towards. If they enjoy it, you kind of put it in the toolbox and then start giving them the choices, like maybe a choice of 2. Do you want to do this one or this one? And they'll start choosing their favorite thing. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. And they really will seek out the things that they like the most, and they'll do those without much of a problem once they are in the habit of, once they know they can.
Yeah. And these aren't forever things. Like, we always change what our preferences are. So over time, it might not be as effective. So we have to go back to the drawing board and start some new activities again and see what's going to stick this time. So it's normal that it doesn't last forever. While the chewing might feel like it lasts forever and the activities don't, that's quite normal, because the chewing, it's a consistent way of getting it. And just even thinking about the chewing, there's different ways to chew as well. So it doesn't have to be a silicone. We can have crunchy foods.
Ice.
We can have ice. Your dentist might have something to say about ice.
Yeah, it would have to be kind of crushed and not like really big hard cubes, or to be clear.
It's not their favorite thing, but again, like, you know your child, you can see what's happening if you bring them for regular checkups. It's not impacting them. I would say ice over a sugary treat that's crunchy. Sure. Sucking through straws, like thick liquids through straws, can be helpful as well. So there are different ways of providing even the chewing itself. And you can find lists of these on the internet, like home heavy work activities or proprioceptive activities for kids at home, at school. And the occupational therapists have made lots of resources that are free and just accessible by Google.
Yeah, absolutely. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to look at. You want to look at heavy work activities, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And alternatives to oral oral
motor.
activities, right?
Yeah. You'd want to do the heavy work, and sometimes compression can work, but inversions, like having them on a yoga ball, leaning their head backwards for a little bit where their head is upside down or off the sofa, playing games a little bit, like maybe play cards, they'll be okay. The blood won't completely rush to their heads, and they'll be able to do very unique things in these positions too. They're capable.
It's amazing what they can do.
They're very capable, but definitely you want to create a routine where, the transition from school, some kids mask. So they put on a mask where they're able to function properly or appropriately throughout the school day, and when they come home, their body is like built up and is ready to explode. So having a schedule when you come home, maybe we're going to the park first and really releasing some energy before we get home. When we get home, we have a routine at home, and we're building throughout the evening.
Yeah, because these things can build up over time. So if your body was getting very little of the things that it needed throughout the day, then you have this sort of storm at the end of the day when your body now really needs a whole lot of things it hasn't had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, it's like our stomach. When we're hungry and we haven't eaten all day, we tend to just cram, and it can sometimes get too much, but you take in everything at once, even though you might not need it. Your body's just bursting for it.
And if you hear that, like they're maybe masking all day, falling apart when they get home, which is really common, it's also really useful to do a couple things in the morning before you go to school. And if the teacher is flexible and open to it, even having some of these activities that would be available at school, that will really help to reduce some of the behavior after school.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, we can't forget that anxiety piece where it could be related to something anxiety-based as well. Their body's nervous, and so this is how they regulate it. Yeah. But in this case, it just feels like a very sensory-seeking type of kiddo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
this is helpful.
Yeah, if you, as sending it back to the community, if you've had a child who has had these difficulties before, or if you're tired of going through your supplies, if you've been a parent who's gone through endless supplies of Truleries and you found something that worked, please comment below. We are a community and we're here to support each other. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them in. What would you say? meltdownabroad@gmail.com is the best way to send us your questions.
For sure.
But we're not opposed to a DM as well if you're following us on socials. And with that, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with any of your families that you think might benefit from this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Until next time.